We gods, man. We kings, man. We lords.
I was born black, I live black, and I'm gonna die probably because some cracker that knows I'm black better than you, nigga, is probably gonna put a bullet in the back of my head.
This is the remix. My father was raised in the era when black niggas couldn't claim Native American.
Aborigines, which means what? Black folks. But you never find a white aborigine. Rather, aborigines are called natives, or they're always dark-skinned people. You and I are aborigines, but you don't like to be called an aborigine. You want to be called an American. Aborigine actually means from the beginning. Two Latin words, ab meaning from, origine meaning the beginning.
Great shock around the age of 5 or 6 or 7 to discover the flag to which you have pledged allegiance, along with everybody else, has not pledged allegiance to you. It comes as a great shock to discover that Gary Cooper killing off the Indians when you were rooting for Gary Cooper, that the Indians were you. That the Indians were you. It comes as a great shock to discover that the country, which is your birthplace, and to which you owe your life and your identity.
Remember that big Indian dude in that movie? Mm-hmm. He was cool. And then he couldn't talk unless he was talking about gum.
Yeah. You know, I think you're not supposed to say Indian either.
No way, really?
Yeah. I think you're supposed to call them African Americans.
Oh, you're shoemakers now. And more importantly, you're a person of color. You're no longer a Nipmuc person. And that shows through in these county histories and also in the census records at the time. You find a person described in the 1860 census as an Indian. In the 1870 census, they're described as a person of color or a colored person. Same person, but the census taker, as part of the white dominant society, decides that this person is no longer Nipmuc.
Since y'all always screaming about DNA, watch what the biology professor says about DNA. Watch this.
Smith's breakdown from Ancestry showed 97% European and 2% Asian.
I'm a black girl. I am not a Jewish white lady. I'm black. My parents were black.
She contacted Ancestry with questions, but says a rep told her the results are accurate.
These DNA tests for ethnicity are entertainment value only.
William Gilliland is a biology professor at DePaul. He says DNA kits can be great for connecting family members and finding relatives, but the science for ethnicity testing isn't as concrete.
There's nothing that confident for ethnicity. There's no diagnostic nucleotide. You can say this person is from Europe, this person's from Africa.
You see that? DNA can't tell you where you're from. A scholar tells the truth. Watch this.
But many African Americans, you are the Native Americans. You're not even African Americans, you're Native Americans. You're the ones that they brought blankets with, was it smallpox or whatever diseases, and wiped out entire communities because they said they came in peace, but they actually came in war. And they are still warring us right until this day. So there are those beloveds of you who really don't feel any connection to Mama Africa. And this is just, you know, a confirmation, a reassurance that America belongs to you.
So Africans know this history, but nobody else does? Come on, make it make sense.
At me. And so with the help of my wife, we extracted enough saliva to send off in the mail. We were so excited to see the results. After about 3 months, we were shocked. My lizard was 51% Ashkenazi Jewish. He was also 48% West Asian. This was really interesting. They also gave us a little bit of his background and his history, what he liked to eat, etc. Let us know which animal's DNA we should send in next.
You don't have to try to be something you're not.
Trying to be something I'm not? Trying to be proud of my African heritage? That's being something I'm not, then fine.
My grandmother was a full-blooded Iroquois.
I know all of that, Mama.
They don't know this. I am alive because of the blood of a people who never scraped or begged or apologized for what they were. They asked only one thing of this world, to be allowed to be. It broke my heart when you changed your name. I gave you my grandmother's name, a woman who bore 9 children and educated them all, who held off 6 white men with a shotgun when they tried to drag one of her sons off to jail for not knowing his place. And you had to reach into an African dictionary to find a name that would make you proud.
My father was raised in the era when black niggas couldn't claim Native American. Making music would've thought I had help, but the Indians I know wanna be the chief they self.
So Mike TV, it's on you. Who do you want to go first? You or Cali Enigma?
He can go first.
All right, Cali Enigma, first question. And there is 5 minutes for you to respond, and then Mike TV has a five minute time limit to respond as well. So the first question, Cali Enigma, who are you? Who are your people, and where do they originally come from?
Well, I am Black American, aka African American. Black Americans are of African descent, specifically from Western Central Africa. Whenever you pull up Black Americans, you're going to see that we are the descendants of Western Central Africans. We have haplogroups that go back to Western Central Africa, whether it's dealing with the mitochondria, which is going to be with the L, right? So it'd be like L0, L1, L2, and more, right? Some even go back to L3. We also have the Y marker, which is going to be E, right? So I'll actually show my Y marker, and I'll be showing some other stuff too. But as of right now, yeah. One of the things we were supposed to talk about too was the freedmen, which is Mike said that freedmen were never slaves. He said the freedmen were people who were always free and were never enslaved. And I'm going to show things that actually will change. Well, I should say correct that information. I don't know. You want me to go on for 5 minutes, or do you just want me to give it like an open statement?
I mean, if you're done, you can just stop. You don't have to use the 5 minutes.
Yeah.
The 5 minutes is a limit. It's not definitely what you have to adhere to. But I want to say to the question, because what you mentioned about the freedmen, I have a question about that later on. So Mike TV, same question for you, and I'll repeat it. Who are you? Who are your people? And where do they originally come from?
World of ambiance with scented candles. Before I start my live streams, I set the perfect mood by lighting a couple of these beauties. Crafted with precision using a formula passed down from a foundational Black American woman to her partner, each candle is a masterpiece, blending essential oils and natural fragrances seamlessly. I frequent this brother's eBay store not just for his candles, but also for his range of quality products. Support a Black-owned business and elevate your space with handmade scented candles delivered straight to your door. Click the link in the description and embrace the power of ambiance.
Yeah, so I'm a card-carrying member of the Muscogee Creek Nation. When I did my family's genealogy, we found Aboriginal lineage, and I have not gone back farther enough to see if there's any lineage from Africa. We all know that DNA tests are fraudulent. They're for entertainment purposes only. They can only tell you who your daddy is, not what your ethnicity is. And I think it's a very charged statement to make the claim that every Black American comes from West Africa. I don't know how someone thinks that they can accurately debate that point. I don't know what proof they think that they're going to bring to assert that claim, but you make the assertion that every Black American is a descendant from a slave from West Africa. God damn it. I hope that there's some more evidence other than DNA markers.
Mike, just for clarification, you identified your people as what, so I can refer to you as that throughout the
I
broadcast.
refer to myself as a native Black American.
Native Black American. Okay, perfect. Okay, second, uh, Cali Enigma, do you have a response to that? Because we're still under time. And then Mike TV can respond as well.
No, I'm gonna be pulling up some stuff in a minute, so you can just let that go. If he wants to continue to talk, go ahead. I'm actually getting ready to pull up some stuff. So right now I'm pulling up some. I'm gonna pull up a video from a geneticist by the name of Rick Kittles. I just figured why don't just go at that right now, and I'm gonna let Rick Kittles speak for himself. Reputable geneticist. I will also post his background as well and where he works. I'll post that source in the back chat and want the chat to be able to look at that. So I'm going to let Rick Kittles speak for himself, who is a reputable geneticist and head of population science. So I'm gonna let him speak for himself. And it was an
Well, it's
interview that he
actually
gave with
on you. It's actually on you right now, Callie. So
Alright.
what I'm going to do is I'm going to go to the next question.
Well,
I'd like you, Callie Enigma.
also, I do have a quick comment I'd like to add in. I'm used to structured debates where you're debating one topic. I'm not here to debate whether there were freeborn blacks and debate whether blacks come from Africa or they're Aboriginal and debate whether there's Aboriginal Black Americans before Columbus. So again, let's keep the focus on Black Aboriginals, because when I was here the other day, he made the claim that there was no such thing as Black Aboriginals, and that's what I'm here to debate. If he wants to have a
No,
second debate
I
about
actually
freeborn
want.
black,
No, you
why
can
All right,
hold on, brother.
hold on, guys. We have to have order. None of this was discussed yesterday. I set the debate up. I wrote the questions. If someone doesn't want to answer the questions, they can choose not to answer, and then we can move to the next question. But there are questions for both of you based on your ideologies. So Cali Enigma, define Black American. Cali Enigma,
I was
define
saying
Black.
something and then I was cut
Cali
off in my head.
Enigma,
So if I can
Cali
finish my
Enigma,
comment.
Cali Enigma, define Black
I can't finish
American.
the comment I was
in the,
making, Magnesi, before I was interrupted.
excuse me.
Can I finish my comment before I was interrupted?
Well, actually, no, because we have a format here. So I have to answer the questions, and I asked you, and you didn't use up your 5 minutes. I understand your point, and you'll definitely have a time to do that. But right
Well,
now,
I'll still say my comment. My comment is, if he wants to have a second debate about freeborn blacks, we can do that. I don't know why you didn't want to allow me to finish that, but go ahead.
well, because there's a format. I don't understand what your issue with the format is. If you had these issues, you should have brought them up yesterday. I'm the moderator. I have questions that are going to be asked. They are fair questions. If you're trying to make this a smaller debate with only one topic, that should have been stated yesterday.
Your
Because
format was not stated yesterday.
even the topic,
So this is all new to me.
even the topic of the debate for you, Mike, was an issue. We understand that it's an issue, and it's taken into account. So, Cali Enigma, define Black American in the context of an ethnic group. You have 5 minutes.
Let me go ahead and screen share real quick. I'm gonna go pull this up. I want to go pull up Black American real quick. What is it, Black American? I actually want to pull up the definition instead of just talking about it myself. So yeah, let me go pull it up. So let me go look up. Give me a second. Pull it up. All right. So I'm gonna pull this up as far as the Oxford Dictionary. And no, oh no, that's not what I wanted. Can you pause my time for a second while I pull this up? Shouldn't take but a second.
Nope, your time is running. There's no pausing on the time. 5 minutes is 5 minutes.
All right, I don't mind. Let me go. All right, let's pull it up. All right, let's go to it's Kaizo so I can screen share. Kaizo.
Yeah, just share the thing. Let us know which one, and I'll put it up.
No problem. All right. All right, so we're gonna go right here. We just start with this baseline. This is a wiki article right here. It's gonna give you a baseline. When I pull up Black American, this is what's gonna come up. It's gonna come up as African Americans. It says so. African Americans, also known as Black Americans or Afro Americans, are an ethnic group consisting of Americans with partial or total ancestry from Black racial group of Africa. African Americans can constitute the third largest racial ethnic group in the U.S. after white Americans, Hispanic and Latino Americans. The term African Americans generally denotes descendants of African enslaved in the United States. Most African American descendants of enslaved within the boundaries of the present United States, while some Black Americans on their children may have come to identify as African American. Majority of first generation immigrants do not prefer to identify with the nation of origin. Most African Americans are West African and coastal Central African ancestry with varying amounts of Western and Native ancestry, right? So we have that. Let's see. Also have, where did I put that at? I have something else. Here we go. No, that's not what I'm looking for. Not that. Let's see. Here we go. And so I actually wrote this down too. I want to pull this up so I can go directly to the part that I'm looking for. Let's see. Let's see. Wrote that down. Jeez. Let's scroll down, and it actually breaks down the percentages of us as well. Let's see. Analysis.
You have
Here we
about a
go.
minute left.
About a minute left because it's gonna be quick. It's to the lower estimates of African ancestry and 23andMe African Americans, unlike most previous estimates, mean proportion of African ancestry would typically have ranged 77% to 93% African ancestry. Our estimates, depending on exclusions, are 73% to 75%. There are several possible explanations for our low mean African ancestry. If our ancestry composition estimates are downward biased, then the African Americans might have levels of African ancestry consistent with other studies, and our results are simply underestimates. However, our ancestry composition estimates are extremely well calibrated for African Americans. From 1,000 Genome Project and consensus estimates, we see no evidence of downward bias. All right. So basically, that just gives you the breakdown. African Americans on average tend to be about 73% West African, with about 24% European and 0.8% indigenous. And I'll land right
Understood.
there.
Understood. Mike TV, the same question for you, and then the next question I think Mike TV will appreciate. So define Black Americans in the context of an ethnic group. Mike TV.
Yeah, definitely. And I don't have to go to Wikipedia to give a definition of what a Black American is as an ethnic group. It's anybody who can trace their lineage to the 18th century census or before that. Black Americans are an amalgamation of people. We are mixed with European, indigenous ancestry. Some of us have African lineage, and some of us even have some Spanish and some other things, which is why they made terms for us, such as mulatto and octoroon. So a Black American is anybody who can trace their lineage to America in the 18th century or before that. And that's simple. That's it. That's all. And I don't think that the other guy was even really prepared to give that answer. I think going to Wikipedia was a last minute thing because if you notice, the last sentence he read there was and mixed with Native American. And God damn it, that really messes up the whole argument he made the other day that there's no such thing as Native Black Americans. Furthermore, Nakmizi, can you let me know how much time I have left on the clock?
You have 3 minutes and odd seconds. Go.
Okay, perfect. He keeps citing as his main source that we come from West Africa and we're this percentage of this and that percentage of that. He keeps talking about DNA. So I'm going to play a couple clips debunking DNA. I've got the first clip ready. If I can play it, Nakmizi.
For ethnicity. S for ethnicity.
Entertainment value only. Entertainment value only. Entertainment value only. Entertainment value only.
William Gilliland is a biology professor at DePaul. He says DNA kits can be great for connecting family members and finding relatives, but the science for ethnicity testing isn't as concrete.
There's nothing that confident for ethnicity. There's no diagnostic nucleotide. You can say this person is from Europe, this person's from Africa.
It's exciting to make discoveries like this, but if they're not true, it's heartbreaking.
And I've got another clip, the one that has the lizard.
This is something
Oh, no, it's not that one. It's the one right next to it. Has a lizard and a mouth swab. White hands and a lizard. There we go. There we go. And just to kind of provide some comments on that last video, that was a woman who did a DNA test and it told her that she was a Jewish woman. And clearly she's a melanated black woman. And that was a biologist that said straight up, DNA cannot tell you your ethnicity. And now this is a man who swabbed his lizard's mouth. And let's see what DNA test results his pet lizard got.
Me. And so with the help of my wife, we extracted enough saliva to send off in the mail. We were so excited to see the results. After about 3 months, we were shocked. My lizard was 51% Ashkenazi Jewish. He was also 48% West Asian. This was really interesting. They also gave us a little bit of his background and his history, what he liked to eat, etc. Let us know which animal's DNA we should send in next.
So there we go. We got a DNA test result that is saying a pet lizard is Asian and European. All right. And I got one more thing. We've got a PDF. It's white and it has some blue letters in bold.
Mike, get down to your final seconds, Mike.
Okay. Then I'll save the other one for next time. Okay. Okay, yeah, go for it. All this is saying is no government nor tribe actually uses DNA tests to prove whether somebody is indigenous or to prove their lineage. So if governments don't go by DNA, tribes don't go by DNA, I don't know why the pan goofies want to go by DNA to say that we're from Africa. And I concede.
All right. So I will give Cali Enigma 2 minutes to respond to the presentation of Mike TV, and Mike TV will also have 2 minutes to rebut what Cali Enigma says on his response. Cali Enigma, go.
Right, let me play this little quick clip. Let me screen share.
Because he's screen sharing, I'm going to up it up until 4 minutes for technical aspects.
Yeah, for future control, you can just share it and then let us know, leave it in the background, and let us know when you're ready to put it up.
His 4 minutes will start once his presentation is on the screen.
Original Native American, the history that Native Americans have, and actually it's disrespectful for African Americans to go out and say that they're Native American to the rich Native American cultures that have been here for thousands of years. I mean, Native Americans are descendants of Asians who came here, who migrated here, and we have the archaeology, we have the biological anthropology, we have the genetics, the fossils, everything is there, show and prove, okay? So there is no debate on that. We look at Native American populations. They were at one point very large with the settlement and the arrival and settlement of Europeans. Those populations were brought down to very few numbers. And so the genetic diversity, the biological diversity, the cultural diversity was lost, okay? But they were not of recent African descent, okay? Those Native Americans were not. Now, for some reason, there are African Americans who are here who want to claim this connection with Native Americans. I don't know for what, outside of maybe trying to get some money from casinos or something. I don't know, but the they want to have this connection with Native Americans. And it's funny because it's almost like we are the Native Americans. And so whoever was here or whatever history that you can show coming from Asia just wasn't true. I mean, it's even more shocking that you would even say that. But I also don't understand why a Black person would want to be anything other than African. Okay? That is the real deep sort of issue that has to be addressed by those individuals who continue to argue. I mean, they continue to argue this point. Now, I'm not going to say that no Black folk came here when the Europeans came here early on, Columbus and all that stuff, right? Because I'm sure there was Black folk on those ships. I'm almost positive that they were Black folk. I'm even suggesting that some of them could have been Moors from Spain, okay? But there was no wholesale movement of Black folk to the New World and then contribute all of what the Native Americans did. And for some reason, that was lost too, I guess, in the history, that, it was the Black experience that contributed to the Native American history. I don't know, but I'm just saying there is no evidence of this wholesale movement of people of West and Central African descent being here before the transatlantic slave trade. So the African American community that's there today came from, we are descendants. I'm going to say this really,
it's about to be done now,
just clearly, okay? The bulk of African Americans are descendants of enslaved Africans from West and Central Africa.
It don't get no much simpler than that. But since Brother
All right, Callie, thank you for that presentation.
Let's go all the way into it. Dr. Rick.
All right, thank you for the presentation. Mike TV, you're going to have 5 minutes to respond to that if you choose so, and your 5 minutes start now unless you need to present.
I need to present. Is there any way that my time can start when I present? And if there's a little bit of a lapse in between bringing up slides on your end?
Absolutely. I'm keeping that into consideration, sir.
I appreciate it. The first tab, if you can bring up, is called Black Indian. Nope. It's an image. Nope.
Go into because it's so long, but it's really
It's an
interesting.
image. It isn't a video. There we go. That's one of them. So I find it interesting that instead of asserting his claims, he plays a video from a biased source, someone collaborating with Amen Ra Media. We got some Pan-African doctor trying to tell us that all of us come from Africa, and there's zero evidence that we were here before the transatlantic slave trade. But we've got Spanish explorers as early as the 1600s. These are all the paintings that they painted depicting the indigenous Americans. This book was the accurate description of the New World in 1671. It's in the Library of Congress. Can you move to the next photo, please? Next photo, please. There we go. Here's yet another image of what European explorers said that they initially saw when they came to North America before Columbus. Because Columbus wasn't the first one to come over, it was the Spanish, the Spaniards. Now, can you go to the PDF that says Native Docs? Oh, yeah, nope. It's a slide. Nope, it's a it says Native Docs PDF on the back end. Not that one. Yep, that one. Perfect. So the Pan Goofy that he played a video of said there's no evidence of Black people here before the transatlantic slave trade. Let's go ahead and read some books that are over 100 years old. It says the coast of California, and this book is called The Voyage of Discovery, South Sea and Bering Straits. In the 18th century, this was written. The coast of California is inhabited by so many tribes. There are frequently in the mission Indians of more than 10 different races, each of which have its own language. As we were leaving the mission, we were surprised by two groups of Indians, which were also composed of different nations. They came in military array, that is, quite naked, and painted with gay colors. The heads, the most, were adorned with feathers and other finery. Some of them, however, had their long, disordered hair covered with down, and their faces dubbed in the most frightful manner. There is nothing remarkable in the war dance, and I only regretted that I did not understand the words of their song. The physiognomy of these Indians is ugly, stupid, and savage. Otherwise, they were well formed, tolerably tall, and of a dark brown complexion. Let's keep reading. Though found in the Caribbean Isles by the Europeans on their first arrival in America, the Carib race is identical in outward appearance with the African Negro. Conquered and dispersed, the only remnant of the Caribs occupied a portion of the island of St. Vincent, where the whole population was brought by the British authorities. Damn, so they saying people even in the Caribbeans were Aboriginal looking just like an African Negro. It says right here, about noon on the third day of the rest, they were startled by seeing 7 canoes of Indians come out from a clump of rushes on the marshy ground nearby and paddle towards them. In the bow of the first canoe stood a leader, an Indian, as tall as the great Philistine and as black as a Negro. This is another book, Philosophical and Antiquarian, Aboriginal History of America. Though America possesses some dark brown men approaching to be black, yet it has been almost universally believed that there were no Aboriginal blacks or Negroes found on this continent. But from considering the peculiar circumstances under which a black race was found in North America, I hold it more probable that the common opinion is erroneous. So he's saying that's false. There are Aboriginal blacks. He goes on to say the Californians showed no manner of surprise at the sight of some Negroes that accompanied Vizcaino on his voyage. So this Spanish dude Vizcaino comes to North America with a Negro slave, and the natives aren't surprised by seeing this Negro. They actually go on to say here that when the Negro was ordered to distribute a biscuit to the Californians at the Saint of Barnabas, the natives seemed greatly pleased at the sight of a Negro, and they signified to him that they lived in friendship and in correspondence with people of his color, and that not far from there was a Negro village. Damn. Now they try to rationalize it. This explorer tries to say, well, maybe there were some Negro slaves that were left behind on some previous voyages. He supposes that the Negroes were left there by some ship from the Philippine Islands, right? But it says here that the Negro character of the Indians on the coast has been distinctly remarked by various navigators. Even of the present day, we deem it impossible that any few individuals who were probably without women with them when left on this coast could have been able to communicate their peculiar complexion and features to entire nations, even after a period of 200 years. So what he's saying is, damn, we see black natives, and I wonder if some of these black natives were just slaves that were left behind from some other explorers. And then they say, no, even if they were slaves, they weren't left with women, so it makes no sense how they have their whole village and speech and culture here in North America if they were just left here from some earlier slave trade. And we're talking about pre-transatlantic slave. But we can keep on reading. The evidence is right in front of our eyes. This is a book written over 100 years ago. I don't have to play a video by some Dr. Pan-African on the Amun-Ra channel, right? It says, after 70 years of the voyage of Cortez, apparently much too short of a time for Negro villages to have been built, while those inhabitants that the natives have formed leagues of friendship. It's saying right here, it's impossible that these Aboriginal black folks were dropped off by some other boats, because that's too short of a time for them to build these villages. That's too short of a time for the other red-skin and white-skin natives to have built leagues of friendship. Come on. It says from the plates.
You're at 6 minutes, 20 seconds.
Okay. Well, I can see my time. We can do some more reading later.
All right, cool. Perfect. Cali Enigma, I'm going to give you a minute and 30 seconds to rebut this, or should I just go to the next question? The next question is actually kind of redundant. It's about what you guys are talking about now.
Okay, cool. Let's talk about it. So I already know what he's talking about. So he was talking about those Afro-Indigenous people which are the Garifuna. So the people that you're talking about from St. Vincent Grenadines, right? Those are West Africans that crashed in and they mixed with the indigenous people of St. Vincent Grenadines, known as the indigenous Caribs. They were later moved to Honduras and the rest of Central America, which you will see them today in Belize. They're in Guatemala, Livingston, Guatemala. They're in Honduras, Roatan. They're in Nicaragua. You'll see them in Bluefields. You'll see them down in Costa Rica. You'll see them in Panama, right? So we can actually pull that up and it'll actually tell you what they are made of. So I'm going to pull this up real quick. It's going to be very, very brief. Quick screen share. Present. Okay, share screen. Share screen. And we're going to go right here. So we can actually pull this up. And I'm going to read it to you. It says, Garifuna, also known as Garifuna, descendants of Afro-Indigenous population from the Caribbean island of St. Vincent, who were exiled to Honduran coast in the 18th century and subsequently moved to Belize. Garifuna mainly live on the coast, but also are very present in towns and villages. Some Garifuna live alongside the Creole population in main towns. The Garifuna communities live mainly on agriculture, fishing, foreign remittances sent by relatives abroad. Some are also involved in the technical trades. Garifuna who live in the rural areas mainly pursue substance lifestyle, while those in the urban areas live similarly to the Creole neighbors, pursuing professional occupations. Now, I just don't have
All right,
much time.
pause right
I'm
there,
done.
Callie. Pause right there because I got to ask the next question. You took your time back. The next question is, were Native/Black Americans in the Americas before slavery? Now continue with your thought.
Okay, repeat that question again.
Were Native Black Americans or Black Americans in America before slavery?
No. Native Black Americans were not in the Americas for slavery. No, not at all.
Well, you have 5 minutes to prove
Yeah, 5
that
minutes.
point.
I thought it was just going to be a quick one. Okay. No, we don't have evidence of that unless you're going to talk about. You think, well, there were some Africans in there before slavery. There were Africans that came along with Christopher Columbus, right, and the Spanish that sailed over here. But those are very few. It was only it wasn't like a black folks in abundance. We know about that. But you were not going to find wholesale black folks being free, or after we call it the Afro-Indigenous group before slavery. Not at all. So let's go on. Let's pull up some other stuff. Let's pull up. Matter of fact, let me pull up some other stuff. This is not Let's continue to read more on the Garifuna, right? So historical context: the Garifuna, aka Black Caribs, are mixed African Indigenous, Kaling, Nago, Taino, Arawak. It's the descendants of the African survivors of human cargo ships that were wrecked off the island of St. Vincent in 1675. These are Africans along the steady stream of Maroons, escaping slavery on the other Caribbean islands, found refuge and started families with the indigenous Kalinago population. An Afro-Indigenous culture developed that existed independently of the region's colonial forced labor plantation system. They became known as the Black Caribs of the Garifuna. The so-called Black Caribs, together with the indigenous Kalinago, created a formidable fighting force that resisted European colonizing efforts in the region for over a century, forcing both the British and the French to recognize St. Vincent as one several neutral islands, St. Dominican and St. Vincent. Conflict between the British and the Black or fighting Caribs, led by defiant paramount chief Joseph Chador Satuye, continued until 1796, when improved British armaments forced them to accept permanent exile as prisoners of war. And in April 1797, over 5,000 Black Garifuna were transported on British ships and abandoned on the deserted Honduran Bay island of Roatan. Many later moved to the mainland of Honduras and became allied with Spain. The Garifuna fought with Spanish against British pirates and military attacks. They also took the royalist side and in the Central American independence wars against Spain, as a result, became highly marginalized population in post-independence Honduras, and see Honduras, Guatemala, and Nicaragua. So, no, you're not going to be able to find that. Every time you turn around, if you continue to look up black folks in the Americas, they're going to be tied to slavery. Whether you go down to Palenque, Colombia, San Lucia, right? If you go to Venezuela, Argentina, Brazil, all the way up from South America to Central America to the Caribbean to North America, black folks, you'll see some free black folks, and they wrote for themselves. You have an organization that was created in the 18th century, if you talk about North America, the United States. But you are not going to find black folks who are running around here free or Afro-Indigenous without them being brought over by Europeans. That just didn't happen.
You still got a minute and a half left. Are you gonna just pass the mic?
I'm gonna pass the time. Pass the mic.
All right. So, Mike, same question. Were Native Black Americans or Black Americans in America before slavery?
Can you bring up the photo? It's one of the photos I had up earlier. There we go. There we go. Of course, there were Aboriginal blacks in North America before slavery. I'm talking about North America. And when I read some text earlier, it did cite that there were Aboriginal blacks even in the Caribbean. And because the other guy heard Caribbean, now he wants to deflect and hyper focus on the Caribbean. I'm talking about North America. I already read document from Spanish explorers that said that they found Aboriginal blacks living amongst the red and white skinned natives. So I guess that man just lied for no reason, huh? I guess all of these explorers, 16 maps and 7 portraits of famous explorers, each surrounded by framed borders. I guess the Europeans were just lying when Avery visual representation of America as early as the 16th century depicted melanated people. What vested interest does the European explorer have for lying and putting all these black native images out there if there were no black natives in America before slavery? It makes no sense. Can you go back to the native docs slide? Okay. So this says right here, from the plates of chorus voyages, of which I had but a slight examination, they appear to resemble very nearly the blacks of Hindostan, of whom a few Marathans only have fallen under my personal observation. But it is well known that many of the Hindu race are only distinguished by the straightness of hair from the Africans. So he's saying, listen, we even found black folks in India, but we call them different from the Africans because they got straight hair and the Africans got curly hair. And he's using that to compare, hey, we're finding black folks in North America, and we also know they're different from the Africans because they don't have that curly hair. It says this circumstance has been noticed by Strabo as the distinction between the two races, as we cannot admit for a moment that these are American blacks were ever driven by stress of weather across the Pacific Ocean to California. What he's saying is they found Aboriginal blacks in California, and they said, hey, we don't have any evidence that they traveled across the transatlantic sea. We don't have evidence that they were explorers from Africa. We don't have evidence that they came and settled. From what we can tell, these are Aboriginal people. It says, unless it is proved that they are the descendants of the Negroes left by the Spaniards, it will follow of necessity that they have been settled in America from the earliest ages. And we already heard him say earlier that they don't believe the hypothesis of them being Negroes left by the Spaniards because they wouldn't have been able to build villages and their own culture and their own language and their own customs and have friendship and camaraderie with the other 9 races of Native Americans. It said straight up there was 10 different races of Native Americans here in North America. In another part of America, if reliance can be placed upon the correctness of the relation, a race of blacks were seen so early of a period of our history that it seems impossible to avoid the conclusion that they were Aboriginal. God damn it, if I had my soundboard, I'd drop a bomb right there. He just said it's impossible. It's impossible to avoid the conclusion that they are Aboriginal. Come on. He says that there's a region not above 2 days' journey in which they found only blackamoors, and those exceeding fierce and cruel. Damn. The circumstance of finding them there, he attempted to explain by the conjecture that they were Ethiopians who had crossed the Atlantic to rob the country. So peep game. The European is admitting there's black aboriginals in North America, and they're even trying to rationalize it. Were these maybe some slaves left by the Spaniards? No, that makes no sense. Slaves are worth so much money. Why would they leave hundreds of slaves? And if they have no women with them, how do they build up communities and have friendship with the other natives? He says, oh, well, maybe they were Ethiopians who came across the transatlantic to rob North America. But even then, they say, nah, that don't make no sense. So either way you slice it, we have European explorers saying that there were melanated aboriginals in North America, and you cannot refute this. There is no Pan-African YouTube channel clip that you can play to refute that. This is a book that was written over 100 years ago. The facts are right before your eyes. If reliance can be placed upon the correctness of the relation, a race of blacks were seen at so early a period of our history that it seems impossible to avoid the conclusion that they were aboriginal. And this is hundreds of years before the transatlantic slave trade. I also have a video that's in black and white. And how am I doing on time?
You're 30 seconds over. If you would agree to give Callie his time back,
yeah, of course. Yeah, go for it. Yeah, if I knew I was 30 seconds over, shit, I would have stopped earlier.
No problem. So, Callie, you want to take 45 seconds to rebut that, or do you want to go to the next question?
I got one question for him, which is, where are you?
This isn't the question back and forth. That's the next.
I just want to know where sources is. That's it. Because I mean, I've been posting my sources in the back.
Okay. All right. So we have a source request. Mike TV, can you source up?
Yes. The first book that I read from is The Voyage of Discovery, South Sea and Bering Straits, 18th century, first volume. The second book was the Journal of the Royal Geographic Society of London. And that's the wrong screen. If you can go back to the other one that had the slideshow. And the third book I was reading from is Philosophical and Antiquarian Concerning the Aboriginal History of America. Those are my sources.
Does that satisfy your question, Callie?
Now, can you repeat that again? I'm writing it down. I had to get a notepad. I had my notepad, but I dropped my pen for a second. So philosophical and antique one. Okay, philosophical and
if you need me to repeat the other ones, I can do that for you.
Yeah, I had dropped my pen. Appreciate that,
okay,
bro.
So the first one is Voyage of Discovery.
Voyage of Discovery.
South Sea and Bering Straits.
South Sea and Bering Straits.
And the second one is the Journal of the Royal Geographic Society of London.
The Royal Geographics?
The Journal of the Royal.
Journal of the Royal Geographics. Okay.
The Journal of the Royal Geographic Society of London.
Royal Geographics. Right. Okay.
Oh, and since you have a pen ready, I haven't brought the source up yet, but I'm going to cite it, so you might as well jot this down. But there's a book called Freeborn Men of Color Fighting in the Revolutionary War.
All right.
And actually, more specifically, the title is Revolutionary Blacks Discovering the Frank Brothers, Freeborn Men of Color, Soldiers of Independence.
All right. Got that. Okay. When we're ready to go to the Freeman discussion, I'll be ready to go. I appreciate those sources, though, bro. Appreciate you.
Yeah, of course.
All right. Next question for Callie Enigma. We're not going before slavery, we're jumping right into the thick of the slavery period. Are Native Black Americans, were they just admixed Africans or mislabeled Native Americans?
No. They were admixed Africans We have the genetics to support that. We have, matter of fact, I want to post, let's say, Rick Kittles, right? Since he said that Rick Kittles is biased, but matter of fact, I really should pull up this. I don't have that much time, so I'll just go straight to this. But we have this, so we got this article, right? And I'm going to screen share it real quick. It's something that I'm actually gonna show myself if I have much. How much time do I have?
4 minutes, 30 seconds. 4 minutes, 30 seconds.
All right, here we go. So we're gonna address the feasibility of people of African descent, finding living Africans, using direct to consumer genetic testing. So we have this peer-reviewed article. This is a peer-reviewed article right here from a reputable company, right? And here it goes. It's an abstract. It says people of African descent use direct to consumer genomics services such as 23andMe, Ancestry DNA for various family histories, health reasons, including identifying and interacting with the previous known living African genetic relatives. And this commentary argued that it is reasonable to consider the cousin pairs consisting of African person and a descendant of African person enslaved in the Americas during the transatlantic slave trade, i.e. a person of African descent, have genealogical ancestors recent enough to be detected using autosomal DNA testing, where the pair has shared ancestors in the range of 20 to 6 generations ago from the present, right? So I have proof of that directly. I can actually pull that up myself as well. As far as Ancestry DNA, I can pull that up and I can actually show that myself. And I can actually pull up with the search, right? So I can actually pull up someone that I'm related to, right? And so we pull up, I'm gonna pull up this person right here, and I can show you right here, this person is born in Nigeria. I'm born in the United Kingdom. And this is gonna be her ethnicity breakdown. There's mine, there's his.
We can't see it on the screen.
It's not sharing. He's not showing it. Oh, Kaizo, you gotta come in.
No, you're not sharing it.
It says I'm sharing. Oh, let me see. Hold on.
You're probably sharing it, but you haven't put it as the main sharing thing.
Let me stop. Let me stop. Let me present. So let's start again. Let's see if this will work this time. Jeez. Here we go. So right here, this is me, and this is African relative of mine. I'm 85% West Central African. She's 100% West African from Nigeria. So this supports the claim that was actually being spoken about in that article. And I can pull up more cousins that I'm related to in Africa right now, in West Africa, that are West African. So this supports the claim that we know where West Africans come from. We know where African Americans come from. African Americans are Western Central African genetically. The DNA tests support that. There's nothing that you can pull up that's actually going to debunk that. A short clip from TikTok is not reputable. I don't even know who the person that he pulled up. He said this person is a biologist. I didn't see it in context. I actually posted the video of Dr. Rick Kittles, the entire interview. You can get him. He's going to tell you about why Black Americans are Western Central Africans. He's going to actually explain to you what SNPs are. He's going to break down totally about genetics whatsoever, the difference between mitochondrial, difference between a Y marker, difference between X marker, and the X marker cannot be passed down from the male. He explains all that in detail. He explains how autosomal, which is your admixture, how those genetic tests are being genetically related back to people from Africa, how that's actually legitimate. So he's saying that this dude is not reputable. Yes, he is. Dr. Rick Kittles, he's not reputable. This guy's biased. Really? Dr. Rick Kittles, an actual doctor who's actually a geneticist, actual geneticist who's actually doing the work in the field. You can actually read about this brother right here. He said MSM is proud to announce that noted researcher, health disparities expert Rick Kittles, PhD, will join MSN as a senior vice president for research on August 1st. From exploring the human genome to examining cancer outcomes, Dr. Kittles has conducted groundbreaking research throughout his career. He has a proven track record of demonstrating real-world impacts that are informed by data, said MSN President, CEO Valerie Montgomery Rice, NB Falcog. We are thrilled that Dr. Kittles is bringing his expertise to MSM. We are excited to work with him as we create the future of global health equity. Dr. Rick Kittles joins MSM from City of Hope in Duarte, California, where he is currently a professor, founding director, Division of Health Equities within the Department of Population Sciences, associate director of health equities in City of Hope Comprehensive Cancer Center. Dr. Kittles has extensively studied the overlapping intersections of race, ancestry, genetics, health disparities, with a particular focus on prostate cancer among African Americans.
We're at 6 minutes. Did you want to wrap that point up, Callie? You're at 6 minutes.
Yeah. No, you can go right there. That's it.
All right, Mike TV, you have 5 minutes plus 1 minute 30 seconds to rebut what Callie just said. Actually, let me repeat the question, Mike. During slavery time, were Black Americans just admixed Africans or mislabeled Native or Aboriginal Native Americans?
World of ambiance with scented candles. Before I start my live streams, I set the perfect mood by lighting a couple of these beauties. Crafted with precision using a formula passed down from a foundational Black American woman to her partner, each candle is a masterpiece, blending essential oils and natural fragrances seamlessly. I frequent this brother's eBay store not just for his candles, but also for his range of quality products. Support a Black-owned business and elevate your space with handmade scented candles delivered straight to your door. Click the link in the description and embrace the power of ambiance.
For both, we know that the official narrative, if you can bring up the slide that says 4%. Hopefully my time's paused. Kaizo, are you there? I need the slide that says 4%. No, that doesn't say 4%. Nope.
And so with the help of my wife,
it's not a video. There we go. Yeah, this one. So the transatlantic slave trade did happen. I'm not saying it never happened, but even the official narrative is that only 4%, roughly 470,000 men, women, and children were sent to North America. So, yeah, there's some of us that descend from those 4%, and there's some of us that descend from Aboriginal Blacks. If you can go to the slide that says Plecker. Hopefully my time is paused. Nope, it's the one that says Plecker. It's black. Not a video. Here we go. Plecker's policies pressured state agencies to reclassify most citizens claiming Indian identity as colored. So we already know historically our government has reclassified people from native to colored. We also know that there were natives who were reclassified and then placed on plantation alongside those African slaves. So if there were no melanated Aboriginal people, how are they able to relabel them as color? If there's some white-skinned Elizabeth Warren looking person, how do you relabel that as a person of color or a Negro person? It just makes absolutely no sense. And honestly, this is kind of a waste of time. This isn't even a real debate. His whole argument is based on DNA. It's all based on Ancestry.com and 23andMe, which we already know is fraudulent. I already played a clip from a geneticist that said DNA is entertainment only. I already played a clip from a man that did a DNA swab of his lizard, and it says his lizard was European in Asian. I already played a clip from a Black woman who did a DNA swab, and it said that she was Jewish. So if his only leg to stand on is DNA, this isn't even a debate. Furthermore, let's play devil's advocate. Let's say your DNA test is true. Okay, you're African. You come from Africa. That's cool. You don't have to force this African identity on everybody else. Just because your DNA test said you come from West Africa somewhere, don't mean every single Black American is a descendant from those 4% of slaves trafficked during the transatlantic slave trade. Furthermore, Kaizo, if you can play the video that's backstage, it's a white man standing. It looks like a YouTube video. Nope.
Enough saliva to send off in the mail. We were so excited.
Yep, that one. Perfect. So I've already played several videos where scientists are saying DNA tests are entertainment only. They're fraudulent. It's conjecture at best. I guess he needs to see yet another scientist saying it's entertainment only. I mean, I think it's just going in one ear and out the other.
German at all. 52% of my DNA comes from Scotland and Ireland. So I traded in my lederhosen for a kilt.
So you were shaking your head. This one drives me nuts, and I saw it all the time. Whether you want to wear lederhosen or something else is not tied to your DNA.
Okay. Timothy Caulfield is a health policy professor who studies the ancestry business.
It's an exciting story, right? It's about you, right? And so I get why they're doing it, but is it really what's happening? Can they really be that accurate? I think they're selling something that isn't really supported by the science.
With 23andMe.com, you can find out your percentages of DNA from 31 populations around the world.
What do you think about the messages that are being sent to consumers?
I think it's misleading. These companies are really trying to push the idea that this is scientific, right? They are using scientific language and they present it in a way that looks very sciencey and precise.
Caulfield says what people are really buying is entertainment.
I think it's recreational science. They can have a little bit of fun with this stuff. Don't take it too seriously, but know that you are just getting some information that is an approximation of how your DNA compares to other people. It's not tracing back your heritage.
It's not tracing back your heritage.
What do you think about the messages that are being sent to consumers?
I think it's misleading.
It's misleading.
These companies are really trying to push the idea that this is scientific, right?
These companies are trying to push the idea that it's scientific.
They are using scientific language and they present it in a way that looks very sciencey and precise.
Caulfield says what people are really buying is entertainment.
I think it's recreational science. They can have a little bit of fun with this stuff.
It's recreational science. Let me go ahead and share a different screen if I can, Kaizo. I've got it queued up right here. It looks like a Google browser or something. Nope, it's black. There we go. There we go. So again, we already know DNA tests are entertainment at best. We already know that explorers as early as the 16th century portrayed the Aboriginal Americans as melanated, dark-skinned black folks. Y'all already saw me read books that are hundreds of years old saying that they found black natives, that there was no other conclusion they can draw but that they were black natives. Now it's saying right here that Native Americans, especially those with African ancestry, were sometimes kidnapped into slavery by early colonists and enslaved on plantations. So it's already saying there's black Aboriginals. They're supposing that they come from Africa. They're supposing that maybe, thousands of years ago they traveled from Africa or whatever. But if natives look black and red, then how were they able to relabel them and place them on plantation along with the African slaves? It says Native Americans, especially those with African ancestry, were sometimes kidnapped into slavery by early colonists and enslaved on plantations. Colonists used the term Negro to refer to slaves and Negros de Tara to describe war captives that they took from indigenous lands. Oh, damn it, Negroes that were indigenous. And it translates to blacks of the land. Come on. Make it make sense. And again, the only leg he has to stand on is DNA testing, which we've already proven is entertainment value at best.
All right, Mike TV, you just hit 6 minutes. 6 seconds, 6 minutes actually. So everybody's made hold on their time. I am not perfect. There was a couple of speed bumps with the timekeeping in the beginning. I think everybody has satisfied their time constraints. So now we get to the point where it's going to be a freestyle back and forth. Now you guys can ask each other questions and get at it. Everything's on the table as it relates to this debate here. Kaizo, in about 8 minutes, I'd like for you to drop a poll as to who these people felt won the debate, because at 8 minutes into this back and forth, the debate would have already been won in the minds of the people that are watching. So if you could drop that in 8 minutes for now. So now I'm going to turn it over to Mike TV and the Cali Enigma. Go.
Okay,
Yeah.
so first things this.
Can I ask
Let me
the
talk
first
about.
question?
Hold on, no, before we go over, because I want to ask you about that last
Can we
guy.
flip
So
a coin or
the
something
last
next
guy,
on who gets to ask the first question?
the
All right.
last guy.
Wait, hold on. Do I have to flip a coin? Is that what you guys want to do? You want to flip a coin because you can't see me flip a coin.
Okay, because
Well,
I really want to
actually,
ask him about that last video, the last guy. Because the last guy, you
Actually,
talked
Wait,
about
hold on, Callie. We're getting to who's going to ask the first
I
question.
think it would be fair if I asked the first question, since at the beginning I conceded and let him provide the first opening remarks. I think it's only fair if now that we're in a freestyle round, I can ask the first question. He got the first opening remarks.
That
Okay,
sounds
go for
fair.
it.
Callie, you agree with that?
Go for it.
Mike TV, set it off.
Other than DNA testing, do you have any other source you can cite to assert your claim that every single Black American comes from an African lineage?
Yes, but first thing, let me hop on something because I want to post. I want to attack some of the things that you already had posted first. But yes, Black Americans. Yes, we have a ton of evidence that Black Americans are of Western and Central African descent. If you look at the writings, right, the Black people wrote for themselves. So we have organizations that was created by Black folks going back to the 17th century. You didn't have anybody writing stating that they were Aboriginal to this land unless they were mixed with African, if they were claiming to be, Black, right? So if they were Black, you're going to have people like Paul Cuffey. You're going to have others as well who are mixed African and in Native ancestry. So I can show you organizations like created like the Free African Society by Absalom Jones and Richard Allen. And these people, they spoke for themselves. And when they spoke, they talked about the enslaved Africans across the Americas. And their goal was to try to help free these people. And they never brought up people being Aboriginal to this land, that Black people were indigenous. You're not going to find articles in newspapers.com. We're talking about people have firsthand accounts. You're not going to be able to find any primary sources. So I'm actually looking at some of the sources that you've actually posted, and those sources are not reputable sources at all. So you're not going to be able to find me any primary source that supports your claim that Black Americans are indigenous to this land. Any of them, nobody. You're going to name me one person. Name me one person who made the claim of that Black people were the first people, the first inhabitants of this land, that we can actually look up right now and actually get him saying that in context.
So my question was, do you have anything other than DNA to prove that every single Black American comes from Africa? And what you cited wasn't a source. What you cited was a claim that Black people wrote their own literature, and in their own literature, they never said that they were Native. Sir, no North American indigenous people wrote literature like you're suggesting. They pass down oral history. There are no ancient scrolls or texts or scribes from North American indigenous Niji. That doesn't exist. So I understand if later on in the 18th century or the 19th century, you're talking about these newspapers and newspapers.com, but you're asking me, can I name a single source? And I already cited explorers' books from as early as the 16th century, and they came here and said there is no other conclusion to draw other than these people being Aboriginal. I gave you the name of those books, and you made an interesting claim. You said that my sources that I cited are not reputable. So maybe you can tell me which source I cited that was not reputable. Can you name the source I cited that was not reputable? Did we lose him, Nick?
He might be looking up the source. Callie, can I get a radio check?
I don't know what happened. Oh, I'm saying the Voyage of Discovery. I don't know what just happened. Let me go pull this up. Let's go pull up the Voyage of Discovery.
I asked you which source did I cite.
I said the Voyage of Discovery. The Voyage of Discovery. Let's pull that up.
So no. So you're saying the Voyage of Discovery is not reputable?
Yeah, I'm going to go pull that up. I'm going to go pull it up.
Why do you think that book is not reputable?
I'm going to pull it up, and then we're going to go through it.
So you can't tell me offhand why you think that's not a reputable source?
Yeah, I'm pulling that right up.
Guys, peep game. He can't tell me why it's not a readable book, but he wants to pull up the book.
Yep, I'm going to pull it up
Book
right now. Yep.
existed until I taught him about the book. Until I brought up the book, had him write down the name of it. Now he knows it even exists, and he's claiming that the book is what, fraudulent? It's not credible. I don't know. We'll see. If I told anybody else, hey, your source is invalid, I would be able to name off the top of my head why I'm invalidating their source.
All right, here we go. All right, here's the book. We got the book right here. Let's go through it.
And mind you guys, this book that he's saying is not a valid source was published in London in 1821. This book was written in 1821, and he's going to say that this book is not a valid source. But somehow a random doctor from Amin Ra YouTube channel is
you said a random doctor. You're someone who's who's actually reputable and credible and is peer reviewed.
I've
Dr.
never
Rick
heard
Kittles.
of him.
You never heard of Dr. Rick Kittles?
I don't think anybody watching has ever heard of Dr. Kittles.
He's also the owner of African Ancestry.
So he's biased. Oh, so
yes.
he's selling. He's selling DNA tests to black people.
And also have a Canadian geneticist. Also have a Canadian. I'm saying also have a Canadian geneticist as well, who actually studies African American genetics
does
and
that
population
doctor
movement.
sell DNA test kits to black people?
Yes, he does.
Oh,
yes, he
so
does.
Source, the only
yes, he does. Hold on.
That says that we're all from Africa and that DNA tests are valuable is somebody that's selling them.
Is that the only one I can pull up? You do you believe that? You think that's the only one I can pull up?
Is that the only one who says that we're from Africa and that DNA tests have value?
That's
is someone who's selling us
Okay.
DNA testing kits.
I'm glad. I'm about to play another one.
That's crazy, y'all. Hey, and guess what, guys? And guess what? That book that I brought up from 1821, written in London, they ain't got no vested interest to lie to us. But an African doctor selling African DNA tests, oh, damn, that affects his bottom line, whether or not we believe
Black
in
American
DNA tests.
What makes now tell me what makes DNA tests fake? I want you to explain to me what makes DNA tests fake.
I already pulled it up.
But you didn't pull up
his mouth.
But you didn't pull up any geneticists. None of those guys you put up were geneticists.
I said that they are entertainment purposes only.
No, but not one of those guys. You hear what I'm saying?
Jewish.
Did you pull up one of those? Not one of the guys you presented were geneticists.
Yes, actually, the first one I did.
What's the first guy's name?
Play the first video. If I can.
No, what's his name? What did he do so I can pull him up? What's his name so I can pull him up?
Sir, let's get back to the topic at hand.
No, we have the topic at hand, but I'm going to say no. I am. I'm going to discredit your book.
Let's bring it down. Let's bring it down. Let's bring it down.
And are you finally going to tell me how that's not a reputable source?
Yes, I am. I'm going to do both.
Let's not get ahead of ourselves now.
No, I'm going to pull up. I'm going to do both.
No. Let's stay in order. So I will remain silent until you tell me why the book that I brought up, written in the 1800s, why that's not a reputable source. I'll wait.
Okay. I'm going to do both. I'm going to present that video. And I'm going to do both. All right. Post this. Real quick.
And to my live viewing audience, I put a poll in the chat. Let me know who you think won this debate.
All right. All right, I'm gonna go over here.
A long time to discredit my source, huh?
No, I'm grabbing some real quick.
And I don't even know why you have to bring up a copy of the book to discredit it. Can you just give us a little spoiler and let us know what about the book is false?
Let me pull this up. Send a sent right here. Vimeo. And I'm going to present Screen share. And we're going to present this guy.
No. We're going in order,
And
or
this
I'm
is going to
leaving right now,
discredit my source.
Macmezi. I'm not going to let him deflect. He said my source is invalid. You need to tell me why my source is invalid. No. We're going in order, or I'm leaving right now, Macmezi. I'm not going to let him deflect. He said my source is invalid.
I got you, Mike. I got you.
I'll pause it. I'll pause it and I'll go.
To tell me why my
I'll pause it and I'll go
and
do
now
that
you want
real
to bring
quick.
up some random videos from white
So you can actually not get upset and try to run away. All right.
It's taking you
But
damn
that
near
doesn't
30
tell
minutes
me
to tell me
why
why
my
my
book
book is
is
involved.
false.
And now you
That
want to bring
doesn't
up
tell
some
me
random
why my
videos
book
from
is
white
invalid.
dude.
No,
Whatever
I
you're
got the
bringing up about
geneticists too.
DNA has nothing to do with
But
the
that doesn't
fucking
tell
account
me
why that
Translation
book
straight.
is invalid. That doesn't tell me why my
It
book
has
is
nothing
invalid.
to do with that.
Whatever you're bringing up about DNA has nothing to do with the
First,
first-hand
since we're
account
waiting for him,
of
I got something I
explorers
can
that
share on
saw
the
Black
screen for a
Aboriginal
second,
people. It has
just so
nothing
people
to
know
do
who
with
this
that.
doctor is that he's citing as a source.
All right. So first
Kaizo,
thing
I got something
And since
right
we're
there.
waiting for him,
I
it
got
has
something
an
I can
image
share on the
and a
screen for a
price next
second,
to it, just so
I'm not
people
sure
know
if
who
you can
this
bring that up,
doctor is that he's
since we
citing
have
as
to
a
make this a bit
source.
entertaining. It's like
Kaizo, I got
paint
something
dry
right there.
It has an image and a price next to it.
Not this one,
I'm not sure if you
Kaizo,
can bring
this
that
one
up
right here.
since
So
we
when
have
he
to make this a
cites
bit
this
entertaining.
doctor,
It's like
this is
he's
something I know.
watching paint dry,
Doctor
having to
DNA,
have a
this
filibuster for so
motherfucker
long to
selling
get his
you
stuff in order.
$300
Not this
DNA
one,
testing
Kaizo.
kits, y'all.
This one right here. So
Is
when he
this a
cites this
non-biased
doctor
source?
who's a
This is
reputable
Dr. Rick
doctor
Kittles,
preaching
right?
DNA, this motherfucker
man,
is selling
when
you
he's on
$300
Raw
DNA
TV,
testing kits, y'all.
talking about
Is this
how we
a
all from Africa,
non-biased
DNA
source?
test, DNA
This is
that.
Dr.
Did
Rick
y'all know
Kittles,
that he's
right?
selling us
Did y'all know that this
$300
man,
DNA
when he's
testing
on
kits?
Amin Ra TV,
Damn, hold on.
YouTube,
He sells
talking
several
about
kits.
how we
That's
all from
just a
Africa
master
and
plan
DNA
test.
test,
Let's see
DNA
the
that?
Patriot
Did
clan.
y'all know that
Okay,
he's
that
selling
was
us
$2.99 as
$300
well.
DNA testing
Let's see
kits?
another one. Are they all $2.99?
Damn, hold on. He sells several
Family
kits.
celebration
That's
package.
just a Matric
Oh,
Clan test.
$7.29.
Let's see the Patriot
God
Clan.
damn. Oh,
Okay, that one's
the grift is
$2.99 as
real.
well.
The scamming
Let's
is
see
real.
another one. Are they
Wait
all
a minute. I think he
$2.99?
probably has a more
Family
expensive
celebration
than the
package.
$700
Oh,
one.
$7.29.
Oh no, it's only
God damn.
those three.
Oh,
Okay.
okay.
The
So
grift
man's
is
is
real.
selling
The
several
scamming
hundred
is
dollar
real.
DNA
Wait a
testing
minute. I think he
kits.
probably has
And
a
this
more
is who he
expensive
wants to use
package
as a
than the
source.
$700
And when I
one.
bring up a book,
Oh no, it's only those
written
three. Okay,
in the
okay.
1800s, so man's is selling
by
several
a
$100
European
DNA
traveler,
testing
he's gonna
kits.
say that book
And
is
this
false.
is who he wants to use as
Okay.
a source. And when I
I'm
bring
still
up a
waiting for you
book
to invalidate my
written
source.
in the 1800s by a European traveler, he's going to say that book is false. Okay. I'm still waiting for you to invalidate my source.
All right, let's get up in here. So read your book. So I'm going to read your book. Matter of fact, can you tell me what page were you on? Because I want to pull up the page. I want to read your page in context. What page were you on? Were you actually on the voyage? The voyage, no, because I was when everything I did, I posted everything.
Why
everything.
my book is
No,
not a
I want.
valid
Yeah, I want to go. So what page were you on? That's the only
I was
question.
reading
What
from
page were
for
you
you
on?
to
What
tell
page would you
me
read from?
why my book is not a valid source.
Yeah, can you tell me what page it was on? That's what I'm asking you for your request. What page were you on?
Unless we task him on actually citing why my book's invalid, I gotta go. I've been here for 2 hours already.
Hold on, Mike. Hold on, Callie. Oh, what information do you need to prove that his source was invalid?
Yeah, I just want to read that page, and I want to read that page in context. That's why I
Mike
just want the
TV,
page.
would you be so kind to cite what page that was on so we can get this over with?
No. Whatever page it was on is not needed for him to invalidate my source. No. Tell me why my source is invalid. I've been waiting for 30 minutes. I'm not going to wait no longer.
So you're not going to give me the page?
I gave you an answer.
Why don't you want to give me the page?
Okay, well, Nak, thank you for being a honorable moderator. As we can see, he can't tell me why my book is invalid. All right.
Oh, you want to run from it? You don't want to actually give me that? Because
Mike, give us 2 more minutes. Mike, give us 2 more minutes.
I want to get. There's a couple things that I wanted to get up on you on because you actually showed Walter Pleckett, right? And I wanted to get to you about Walter Pleckett. That was one of the main reasons why I wanted to
why
debate
my
you.
source is not valid.
Yeah,
I'm not going to listen to you any longer.
All right. So look, hold on. This is a point of contention, right? To be fair, if I state that someone's source is suspect, I have to have something that I think is suspect. So without the page, because he's not going to give it, what about his source that he said do you think is suspect?
Well, first thing, what I really believe, what's bad about his source is, like I said before, it speaks about people being indigenous to this land, but it doesn't cite, it doesn't give you any citations. He doesn't have any sources in that book. Where are the sources in that book to actually support the claim that black people were indigenous to this land. There is no sources in that book. So you're gonna say this one guy making the claim, but who's the guy? Who's the observer making the claim? Who is the observer? What's the name of the observer making the claim?
Why my source is not valid,
Yeah.
or is he going to question me on the source?
No, I'm questioning you on the source. That's why.
Yeah, and I'm not here to be questioned on my source. I'm here to listen to you tell me why my source is not valid. So here, I'll be fair. I'll go ahead and put on a 60-second timer. If I don't hear you say why my source is not valid in 60 seconds or less, then that's all I have to say to you.
How about this? I don't feel, as someone who's unbiased here, that Callie has said what was weird about the source, except
I didn't say that.
That it didn't state who saw it, right?
Right.
All right. So let's move on from this. I like the closing statements from both sides. Who wants to go first?
Hold on. So if I understand correctly, he's saying my source is not a valid source because it doesn't say the name of the traveler?
Yes. I want to know what's the name of the traveler.
So if I go back to that slide and if it cites the name of the traveler, then you'll agree that it's a valid source?
No. No,
Then
I'm
that's
going
a
to
waste
look
of
at
time.
I'm going
Let's
to
go ahead and
actually
do
look.
closing remarks.
I'm going to look into your source.
I'm not going to let him waste my time no longer. Let's go ahead and do closing remarks.
All right, who's going to do the closing remarks first?
He can go first.
Okay, I'll go first. So I'm going to go ahead and pull up this Walter Plecker. I'm going to pull this.
You don't need to pull up things to do closing remarks. They're called remarks.
Yeah, I am.
Hold on. Kyle, would you drop that poll so that we can have an answer by the time the closing remarks are done? All right, Callie, set it off with your closing remarks.
Yeah. Okay. So,
and my
this is part of my closing
8
remarks.
minutes ago over on my live stream, 85% of the audience say that I won, and 15% of the audience say that he won.
Cool.
And yes, world
Okay.
news. I'm not going to waste my time here much longer.
Okay. So as far as Walter Plecker, right? Walter Plecker, he actually, when he was speaking about reclassification, it was specific to Virginia. And the idea of the reclassification of indigenous people, and it wasn't mainly about indigenous people, it was about trying to keep the white race pure, right? So most of those indigenous people in Virginia at that time were already mixed with African or European or something. And what happened is that there were people who are African descent or quote unquote black passing Africans, or we should say white, or I should say, and white passing, white passing Africans or white passing Native Americans who he wanted to stop from using, gaining access to marriage licenses. He wanted to prevent them from going into white schools that are predominantly white and having white rights. And he wanted to keep tabs on those type of people. And that's why they came with the Reclassification Act. That wasn't widespread. That was pretty much limited to Virginia and outside of a few other states. It was not a whole nationwide effort to reclassify indigenous people. So I know where you got this stuff from Walter Plecker. This is the source right here. I will put this in the background, and that's one of my closing notes. But I really wanted to touch upon this today. This is what I really prepped for today, thinking that we were going to touch upon Freedmen. And as far as the Creek Freedmen, I went on the Creek Freedmen website, and on the Creek Freedmen website, they actually speak about themselves being of African descent. And actually, one of the first things they bring up is to hear the welcome. Here it goes right here, Muscogee Creek Indian Freedmen Band, right? Muscogee Creek Freedmen Indian Band. So it says, welcome to the official website. It's, we are delighted that you are interested in learning about the unparalleled culture, heritage, history of Muscogee Creek Indian Freedmen. History of African Creek Indian is presented factually through historical documents, cultural events, and various educational programs that we implement and preserve in the pages of history. So this is here right on their website. One of the first things you see, these people acknowledge that they are of African descent. So this is what I actually prepped for. I thought that we were going to be discussing more of the freedmen and touching into that. That's what I prepped for. We actually went another direction, but that's okay. But this is my main point of contention when you were saying that you were a Creek freeman, and freeman was someone who wasn't free, someone who was actually someone who was free the entire time, was never enslaved. And when you look that up, when you look up a freeman in the United States, I can actually show you the primaries that's going to support the evidence that freedmen were enslaved the entire time. So that's what I prepped for yesterday. I ended up getting another debate that I wasn't really prepped for. If I'd have known for that, I would have prepped for this. But I was actually prepped for dealing with the freedmen. And this is what I wanted to show. I have a whole bunch of stuff dealing with the freedmen, a bunch of primary sources that I wanted to present that I didn't get a chance to do because we went in another direction. So yeah, this debate, this is not what I wanted to debate on. I was prepared for the debate about this other stuff, but it's cool, man. I appreciate the opportunity to debate, but this is what I wanted to debate you on. And once we go to the Creek Freeman's website, we can see that they are saying they are African descent and not no Aboriginal. You know what I'm saying? They're not saying at all. They're saying they are African descent. They acknowledge they're African descent. And these people, and I also got another article from a lady that she's actually talking about her being an African descent, and now they've been in court, against the Creek Nation to gain rights, to can have health and benefits, so they can actually gain access to education. So this is what I came prepared for, and that's not the debate that we got. So, it is what it is, but I appreciate the opportunity anyway.
Mike TV.
Yeah, this was an utter waste of time. I mean, I provided sources going back to the 1600s, from picture sources to text sources to videographic sources. I mean, we've done an excellent job debunking DNA testing. The one source that he has promoting DNA testing is someone that's selling $700 DNA testing kits. Honestly, I just hope somebody from my channel watching this learns something, because otherwise it just feels like an absolute waste of time. Nobody made the claim that every single Black American came from Aboriginal Black Indians. I never said that. But you're up here saying that every single Black American comes from Africa. See the difference there? They say that only 4% of the slaves during the transatlantic slave trade came to North America. And even those 4% mixed in, mingled, and intermarried with indigenous tribes. So yes, there are Black natives that descend from African slaves who then married in and interbred with white and red natives, just like there were Aboriginal Black Indians, like those explorers cited in their books as early as 1821. So, history is way more nuanced than a lot of people want to acknowledge. You just want to believe the force-fed narrative from our shared oppressor that we all come from a slave ship, and the most primary source on that is what, a Roots movie. So, it's very interesting how he couldn't actually refute that these explorers, as early as the 16th century, saw Black indigenous people and came to the conclusion that there were no other explanation but that they were Aboriginal. And instead of debating that, instead of trying to disprove that, he wants to just further bolster his claims of DNA being a credible source, when if you even swab your pet lizard, it's going to say they Asian or European or something. I'd like to play one last video. It's black and white in the back, Kaizo.
Ethnicity,
black and
entertainment.
White.
This is something I hadn't got time
Yes, this one.
to go in time. This is something I hadn't got time to go into because it's so long, but it's really interesting. This is a drawing from life that was made, believe it or not, by a so-called American Indian, the southern coast of California. He was a member of the Chumash, no longer exists.
So tell me that he's a descendant of the transatlantic slave trade when this predates the transatlantic slave trade.
When the Spaniards met up with these people, they said, these are civilized Indians. They got along extremely well with them. The reason why they got wiped out, though, was because they had no immunity to the diseases that the Spaniards brought over. And so they were all wiped out. This is the last of them, about the mid of the early 19th century. They were a Black people who built fantastic boats. They were like Viking boats, believe it or not. They were lab straight, over one plank over the other. So they were very resilient in the water. They had a tradition that they did not originate in America. They came from this great island out across the Pacific, and they lived in a number of islands off of California. One of them was Santa Barbara. You've heard that, Santa Barbara. And they called Santa Barbara Limu. That was their name for it.
So again, history is way more nuanced than people want to believe. 4% of the slaves during the transatlantic slave trade came to North America, and 80% of those African slaves mixed in with Native Americans. And there were also Aboriginal Indians who then got reclassified as Negro and placed on the plantation right alongside those African slaves. So I urge you guys to open some history books.
Yeah, just 1 second, Mike. Yeah, guys, if you have a question, and thank you very much, Mike, Nakmizi, and obviously Kali Enigma, right, for giving us your time. We appreciate that a lot. So to wrap this up, we're going to share the results from both Mike's channel and also this channel, and who the winner is, and I'll do the math to see who won overall, right? And also, Mike TV and Kali Enigma, can you give us a few more minutes? So, guys, if you want to super chat a question to the guys, you know, for the next 15 minutes, please. Do so. You can start now. A question you want for each individual to answer, right? They don't have to provide sources for this answer since it's impromptu, right? But they can give their opinion. That would be grateful from us. I will give my opinions on who I think won the debate, right? And also who I think actually is correct. I might actually think the person who won the debate is different from the person I agree with, which is kind of interesting. That's a slightly different sort of contention there, right? But yeah, guys, super chat question for the two panelists, and also shout out to Nakmizi for moderating. I think he's done an incredible job. So Nakmizi, please drop your email. No, rather, I'll drop my email in the back chat. I'll add you onto the, you know, the whatever admin stuff, right? So you can manage future debate. Yeah, I think you did a great job. And also, yeah, we finally got ourselves over to 85 people, right? So shout out to you. Yeah, I do appreciate that, right? Everyone here, Nakmizi, Mike, and also Kali Enigma. So yeah, guys, if you have a question for the panelists, drop a super chat right now with a question, what you think, and then we'll round up both Mike TV's channel as well as this channel's data, and then we'll add it up and we'll figure out who won the debate.
Hey, Kaizo, I just wanted to thank Mike TV and the Kali Enigma for accepting a last-minute debate where the actual topic wasn't clearly defined beforehand. Okay, Mike TV had an issue with a topic of the debate. Kali Enigma also had an issue with what he thought the topic of the debate was, which is why I asked the certain questions in the beginning, right? These questions were really related to the topic that we see at the top of Black Americans, Native Indians, or African or descendants of enslaved Africans, right? And that's why I put a 10-minute back and forth so that they can bring up any points, because really certain points are subsets of the greater topic at hand, which is what is the origin story of the Black American, right? I think it was a spirited debate. I just think that next time we do one, we're going to have to get the point of contention ironed out prior to us jumping on the mic. But I do appreciate the way the brothers handled themselves. No one got out of hand. No, there was no pull up. There was no N words. And it was also in the spirit of edutainment. So salute to everybody.
No, it's all good, man. And I actually say, Mike, you won the debate, bro, but my information is correct. But I appreciate you, brother. But I'm telling you, you won the debate. My information is correct. You won the debate.
Hey, brother, if you truly believe that your information was correct, then
I know it
to. Wait, let me finish. I didn't interrupt you. If you truly
I
believe,
apologize for that. I just want to say I apologize for interrupting you.
Okay, you interrupt me to apologize now. All right, third time. If you honestly believe that your facts are correct, then you did our community a disservice by not presenting them well enough to win the debate.
I agree.
And also, guys, I think we should definitely do some future debates. And I think what this really does is open up Pandora's box, because let me play devil's advocate now. I firmly believe, and cited my sources, that there were melanated people in North America way before Columbus and the transatlantic slave trade. But guess what? The white man has a theory called out of Africa theory. So technically, even the white man theorizes that all of civilization came from Africa. The Europeans, the Spaniards, everybody came from Africa. So let me put on my tinfoil hat and play devil's advocate. Let's say that's right. Well, you know what? The Europeans had their own ethnogenesis. The Spaniards had their own ethnogenesis. The Aboriginal blacks had their own ethnogenesis. The black Aboriginal Australians had their own ethnogenesis. But why is it that only black Americans are mislabeled as a dual continental misnomer, African American? Why can't we have our own ethnogenesis when we've been in this land for centuries, but every other group can? The Jamaicans do not call themselves African Jamaican. They do not call themselves Afro Jamaican, but 90% of the slaves went to the Caribbeans, right? So I find it interesting that everybody can delineate and be their own ethnic group, but when somebody like me acknowledged my Aboriginal ancestry and lineage, there's a lot of Pan-Africans and Africans that get triggered by that and want to say black folks ain't native. I just find it interesting.
Well, I will respond by saying this. The reason why our ancestors referred to themselves as African is going as far as back to the 17th century, right? So the reason why they ended up coming with the term African Americans because we're an amalgamation of multiple African tribes. And that's why that was the term. But Black Americans differentiate, right? Some Black Americans call themselves Black Americans. Some don't want to call themselves American or Black at all. They just want to just call themselves American. So it's really up to you, whatever you want to call yourself. But once again, the primary sources actually support my claim. And then for the last guy, the last video, I don't even know who that guy you was you showed. What's the name of the gentleman that you was presenting that information in that video?
The last one where he said DNA tests are entertainment purposes only?
No, that last video you played here. That's not what he said. He was talking about there were black Aboriginal people in California. Who was that guy?
Oh, this guy?
Yeah, who was that guy? Who's the name of that guy?
I don't know. I can find out though.
Yeah, if you can find out who that guy is, so I can look him up because I need to see the credibility of that guy. So you try. You said you could try to debunk Rick Kittle, but Rick Kittle is actually accepted as a peer-reviewed, credible guy in the scientific community.
So when you say that you need to know this guy's name to know if he's credible, are you saying that you think he faked this image?
Oh, I think that he's misleading.
Oh, okay, just like that doctor who sells $700. Hey, just like that doctor who sells $700 DNA tests is misleading people.
You could talk about $700 DNA test all you want, but at the end of the day, is his information credible? Is it peer reviewed? His information has been peer reviewed. His peers actually agree with him. That's how science works. Peer reviewed. It's checked. The science is so difficult. Science is so hard that they actually try to debunk the work. They try to debunk it, discredit it, eliminate it. It goes through excruciating checks. It's not just accepted. That's not how science works. And it's not just a theory. African theory is not a theory. There's a difference between a theory and a scientific theory. You're talking about an ideal versus a gathering and the explanation of facts. That's what a scientific theory is, an explanation of facts. That's a big difference.
The out of Africa theory is literally called a theory, is it not?
It's called a theory, but it's not the same thing, bro. It's a scientific theory.
So it's literally called a theory, but it's different than a theory. It's not really a theory.
Do you want to look up what a scientific theory, difference between a theory and a scientific theory is? And that'll explain to you why the African theory is.
We're both on the computer. You can share your screen and pull up the definition of one theory and then pull up the definition of the other. I mean, I've shared my screen way more than you have. I hope you can enlighten me.
Actually, I did it. I shared my screen the whole time. Hold on, but I'm gonna pull it up to you right now, right?
Yeah, I got a question for you, Mike. Right? Are you a CIA operative? You have like 15 screens sharing. Like, are you having like some kind of crazy computing?
You know what, Kaizo? Believe it or not, I was so late because I woke up late. I prepared for this debate in 15 minutes, and I've got a terabyte hard drive that has over 3,000 documents on Native Black American history. Hey, if anybody really wants to go toe-to-toe with someone who's known as the king of receipts when it comes to historical facts, I mean, I'm the wrong one.
Mike, I don't know if you want to accept this, right? There's a guy called Didstro. He's a Afro-Indigenous. So he believes half African, half Native American. Go ahead.
Can you share my screen real quick?
Yeah.
Look at my terabyte hard drive and look at all the receipts that I have on indigenous Black American history. Come on now.
Social affiliation of even one ancestor with exact certainty.
In the year 2000, a young Black geneticist named Dr. Rick Kittles, who at the time was teaching at Howard University, sent me a letter. He's now at the University of Chicago Medical School. And he said that he was asking various African-American men if they would submit themselves to this new test. And through this test, he could trace on your mother's line where in Africa you were from. Man, that was some serious stuff. And I said, yeah, I mean, I called him right away. And I said, definitely. How badly do I want to know where I'm from in Africa? But I really wanted to know. I'd wanted to know since I was 9 years old. So, you know, let's go for it. I said, Rick, what's up, man? Where am I from in Africa? Where are my people? You know, I want to jump on a plane and go. I thought I'd buy some land, you know, get a fine little African sister, you know, to hook up. I was single at the time, don't get me wrong. I'm still single. Well, so he said, well, we had to run, your results were anomalous. And we had to run them many times. But we finally had figured out where you're from. You are descended on your mother's side from the Nubian people. Now, all African Americans, not all African Americans, but many African Americans want to be descended from one or two ethnic groups. Either the Zulu, because the Chaka Zulu, and the Zulu kicked the English in the behind in the Boer Wars, right? Until they finally were overcome. But you want to be Zulu, or you want to be Nubian. Who were the Nubians? The Nubians were the black pharaohs. And so a Nubian, and all these people wanted to be Nubians, descended from the black pharaohs. So I called Malefi first thing. I said, Malefi, I just got my results back. I am a Nubian. Where are you from? I am the true African prince. My friend Anthony Appiah, whose uncle was the Asantehene, the king of the Asante people. When Rick Kittle sent me a certificate announcing I was Nubian, Anthony Appiah looked at it and said, what a ton of rubbish. Now, why would he say that? Well, there's a slight problem with being either Zulu or Nubian if you're African American. You know what the problem is? None of our ancestors who came here in slavery came from South Africa, the Zulu people, or from Nubia. None, zero. There's a slight problem with being either Zulu or Nubian if you're African American. You know what the problem is? None of our ancestors who came here in slavery came from South Africa, the Zulu people, or from Nubia. None, zero. When Oprah was finally in the first series, and we gave her a DNA test, basically the next day she went to South Africa to announce that she was opening what became the Oprah Winfrey Leadership Academy. She was in an auditorium like 75,000 people or something, and she announced that she just had the test and that she was Zulu. So it broke on CNN. I was sitting in my living room minding my own business and said, Oprah Winfrey's a Zulu. So I called Rick Kittles and I said, Rick, did you tell Oprah she was a Zulu? He goes, no, man, she made that up herself. It's a true story. It's a true story. I would lie to make you laugh, but I'm telling you a true story. So I said, Rick, are you in your lab? He said, yeah. I said, is anybody there? He said, no. I said, when the results come in, make her Zulu, man. You know? I said, you back there making it up anyway. I said, you back there making it up anyway.
It goes deep. It goes deep. Videos, articles, going back to the 16th century. So, hey, I could have pulled out a lot more than I did, but, you know, I woke up late and prepared for this in about 15 minutes. I apologize for my tardiness.
So here we go.
No, shout out. We appreciate the debate. Actually, I think
Hey,
this is really.
wait. So do y'all think that the Olmec heads are white people or Asians or something?
We actually got the Olmec DNA, bro. We got Olmec DNA.
We've
And it's
already
Native
debunked
American.
DNA, Playboy. DNA
No, you
is
have
not factual.
You have not debunked DNA. You haven't.
The
You
only
haven't.
thing DNA tests can tell you is who your
You
daddy
haven't.
is on the Maury
You
Povich
haven't
show.
debunked DNA. You haven't. You
All
can't.
right.
Everybody you present, you haven't presented not one geneticist. None of those guys
I
are
did,
geneticists.
and I will play that video of that geneticist
Yeah,
again.
that guy. What's his name?
Want to share the
What's
screen,
that guy's
if you
name? You
want to
talking about
share
the first
screen
screen?
of the white dude? It's a white dude. His face is kind of purple.
And what school does he teach at? So I can pull him up. Which school does he teach at? But I can see his name.
Look at how he moves the goal pole, y'all. Well, no,
No,
I
I
need
want to
this
see it.
geneticist's name. Well, no, I need
Yeah, I
to
need
know
the
what school
geneticist's name.
the geneticist went to.
Yeah,
Well,
pull
no,
him up
hold
because I can
up.
see. I'm gonna see
need
if he's
to know
geneticist.
how old the geneticist is. Like, come
No,
on.
play the video.
Hey,
Play
guys,
the video.
you wanna let
Play
me
the
see that
video and then
video of
pause
the
it
geneticist
so I can
again?
see the name. Play the video and some pause it so I can get that name. I want to look him up.
Well, Kaizo's the only one who has the ability to share it.
Kaizo, share a screen real quick so I can actually get the name of that.
And yes,
of that
John
dude.
Rowe,
and
a
see his name.
theory is just a theory.
No, a scientific theory is not just
It's a
theory.
hypothesis. It's still called a theory. It's not called a fact, is it? It's called a theory, not a historical
No,
fact.
it's actual explanation of facts, bro.
It's
So
a
here it goes, right there.
theory.
A scientific theory is an explanation of an aspect of the natural world universe that can be repeated and tested and corroborated in accordance to the scientific method using accepted protocols of observation, measurement, evaluation. Abductive reasoning, established scientific theories have withstood rigorous scrutiny and embody scientific knowledge. A scientific theory differs from scientific fact or scientific law. The theory explains why or how a fact is simple, basic observation, whereas a law is a statement, often a mathematical equation about relationship between facts and other laws. For example, Newton's law of gravity is a mathematical equation that can be used to predict the attraction between bodies, but it is not a theory to explain how gravity works. So, like I said before, it's an explanation of facts, bro.
You have
And
any
it's something
other
that's been tested and
sources
reputable.
besides Wikipedia? I know you heavily rely on Wikipedia.
Okay,
I get it.
You want to pull up some up?
Wikipedia is your go-to.
Okay.
I understand.
Here we go.
I understand.
Scientific American. We go to Scientific American, right? You want to come here? We can go
Hey,
right here.
Were we doing closing remarks and taking some super chat questions? Because
We're doing
it's already
something. No, but no,
been 2 hours.
I do want you to show that thing, but I can go right here.
No
matter what
Yeah,
no
yeah.
matter what source I pull up, it's still gonna show the same thing, bro.
Sir, you
That
already
it's
admitted
explanation
you
of facts.
lost the debate. Just take the L. Take the L.
No,
You admitted you lost.
I still want to know. I want to know the name of that that guy you said is geneticist.
You lost. I won. There's nothing you can do to change
No,
what just happened.
I just want to know what's the name of the geneticist. That's all I'm asking you. What's the name of the geneticist?
You already admitted
said
you
you were
lost
shown?
the debate. We don't need
I
to go
agree.
round and
No,
round.
but you said you would. Mike, you did
The
agree.
battle is
Mike,
over, sir.
Mike,
The
didn't you
battle
agree
is
that you would
over.
actually show?
You lost.
Mike, but didn't you agree?
And guess what?
Mike, didn't you agree that you would show that guy?
I'm not gonna.
No, I'm just asking.
Force you to be in bondage.
No, I'm just asking you, bro. I'm just asking
gonna
you. Like
say,
you said you would
go
show
your
that
way
name.
and know who the supreme is now. Know who reigns
No.
supreme. Okay, come on. If you want to,
No, I'm just asking you. What's
we can do a
no?
part
I'm
two on the
asking. What's
debate,
I just wondering
but
what's the
I
name
won.
of that one guy?
I won this debate. There's
I agree.
nothing
You
else to
won.
say.
I agree. You
There's
won
nothing
that. No,
else
but
to
you
say.
said you would actually show the
All
name
right.
of that guy, right?
Let's see if the audience has any questions, and then Mike TV needs to go back.
Yeah,
to
guys,
the channel, Mike TV.
Yeah, guys. Once
You don't
again,
want to. You don't want to give me the name.
Sir,
Yeah,
you
one
already
second.
lost.
Shout out to both Kali Enigma and Mike TV for coming through, right? Mike, there is an Afro-Indigenous who wants to debate you next, right? His name is Distro. He is half Native American from the South American region and half Black. Are you on? Are you game? Yay or nay?
Wait, hold on. I'm confused. You said he's half Native American from South America?
Yeah, one of the South American indigenous, yes, and half Black.
Do we know what tribe he's from? Does he have any federal status?
He will give me this
or-
tribe. I don't. Okay, so he's one of those tribes that are not part of North America, but he is part of the Southern American native tribes. Yes, he
And
is
and,
a
and,
member.
wait, he's half African, half South American Aboriginal?
Yes, correct.
And what would he want to debate me on? Well,
I
what have I
think
said would
there's
he
a couple things.
have as a point of
There's a couple
rejection
things.
or want to combat me on?
Yeah, great question. Also, guys, Chilani, I will share the video. Thank you for the question there over there for what's his name? Eridbo, and also shout out to Nakmizi again. Like really did a great job moderating, right? Thanks for the opportunity to moderate this debate, and shout out to all who watch and participate 100%. Shout out to Chilani again, also One Man, and everyone else, right? So obviously, one contention is term Indian, right? Obviously, you know, Indian is a term from the Western Hemisphere, denoting people from the South Asian community. So what would you call yourself? Okay, again, I don't want to, you know, ruin that debate, but what term would you call yourself? You did mention Black American Native, so he already has issues with the term Indian.
There's nothing that says Indian in my title. I refer to myself as a NBA, a Native Black American. I don't use the term Indian. I know in America that term is interchangeable for Aboriginal or Indigenous, but I try to shy away from using the term Indian because everybody knows that's a misnomer. It's like calling people Hindu. They were never really called Hindu. Hindu is just what the British people mispronounced, so they called them Hindu, right? Columbus thought he was going to India, so he called us Indians. I mean, why would we go by a white man's mistake made centuries ago? So if he wants to debate me over the usage of the term Indian, there's no debate to be had because I don't even use that term in my self-identification. I'm a
The Flicks Tape.
They have no future as they have no past. Tomorrow as today, slavery will be their only possible privilege.
We gods, man. We kings, man. We lords.
I was born black, I live black, and I'm gonna die probably because some cracker that knows I'm black better than you, nigga, is probably gonna put a bullet in the back of my head.
This is the remix. My father was raised in the era when black niggas couldn't claim Native American.
Aborigines, which means what? Black folks. You never find a white aborigine. Rather, aborigines are called natives, or they're always dark-skinned people. You and I are aborigines, but you don't like to be called an aborigine. You want to be called an American. Aborigine actually means from the beginning. Two Latin words, ab meaning from, origine meaning the beginning.
Great shock around the age of 5 or 6 or 7 to discover the flag to which you have pledged allegiance along with everybody else has not pledged allegiance to you. It comes as a great shock to discover that Gary Cooper killing off the Indians when you were rooting for Gary Cooper, that the Indians were you.